Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Mom Interrupted. I'm your host, Huda, and obviously, as you can tell, today's episode is really interesting because we are launching our very first full video podcast episode. Bismillah. A lot of nerves, but honestly, I knew it's a matter of time before we got here. I have been delaying it. I tell myself, oh, it's too much admin, there's so many things to work through, a lot of things to consider. But honestly, I think I was just nervous about being in front of the camera for the world to see. Not that the world is watching, I'm aware. But yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah. So today, what I thought I'd do is give a bit of a mom interrupted / life / identity update. Also, because the last time I did a solo episode was way back in episode 3, where I talked about being a mom of 2 and all the sticky, complicated feelings that come with it. At that point in time, my son just turned 1. Yeah. And since then, it's all been a host of interview-based style, where obviously you as the listeners would have a sense of who I am through my responses and the conversations that I have with the respective mothers that I've interviewed. But I've not really addressed you guys directly in this manner. So I thought it'd be a nice little reintroduction. So that's where we're at for this episode. So I've written down a couple of notes. So if you see me referencing, I'm really just like making sure I don't veer too off course, because essentially talking to yourself in front of a camera is vastly different from having a conversation with someone and bouncing off ideas and vibes and energy and all of that. I'm essentially just vibing off myself. Yeah. All right. So where I am right now. So right now, I am owning being the entrepreneurial, community-centered mother who is also trying to be present while unschooling her 2 young children and building something meaningful. Hopefully, inshallah. Yeah. We are always tweaking little edits to our routine. Right now, it kind of looks like breakfast at the playground 2 to 3 times a week, killing 2 birds with 1 stone, going for forest school twice a week, recording a podcast episode 1 to 2 times a week. It depends. 2 days of about 2 to 3 hour blocks where I plant myself at a nearby cafe for uninterrupted focus time. And also 1 fun kids day during the week, not including weekends and daily outdoor time. And amidst all of that, I'm still trying to figure out the whole mom collective thing. Now, since starting the Mom Collective and with that, the Mom Interrupted podcast, I have gotten the opportunity to meet lots of amazing mothers, converse with them, hear their stories firsthand, basically a first-class seat to having them share with me their motherhood journey, which is honestly a huge honor. And with that, it has truly expanded my understanding of what motherhood means, how it can be so different from mother to mother, and how every mom's experience is fully theirs, and it's like it's all encompassing. Unless you're the rare minority mom who does not care about being a mother, which there are, but I'm assuming in good faith that that's a minority. But otherwise, every mom's journey is all encompassing. It takes up huge chunk of their mental space, obviously all of their heart and soul. And it's just been really interesting to hear these stories firsthand. It has definitely like expanded my perspective, deepened my understanding, and allowed me to be inspired and re-inspired time and time again, which is amazing because it's like getting a shot of inspiration every time I get to speak to a mom and hear from them what it's like, what their motherhood journey is like. So I thought I'd share some takeaways that I've learned so far. The first one that I put right up top. So I've put together 5 that I've thought of. I'm sure there's a lot more if I were to really do a massive deep dive. But for now, these are the 5 that really stuck up to me. So the very first one is to give first. And as with starting anything, you give first for a multitude of reasons to showcase your value, to extend the hand first, and also I think in some ways when you view growing, I wouldn't want to say transactions, when you view any relationship, when you give first, you tend to enter the picture with hearts open, with hands open. So you're kind of like, here, this is a little something from me before expecting anything in return. Yeah. So I'm talking about all this through the lens of having grown Mom Collective and this podcast since last year, since sometime last year. Yeah. So this is what I've realized with community building. Obviously, the whole intent of it is to build a community, and you can't expect to be given before you give. I've realized that really just give first. I've noticed that even during the times where I felt uncertain about potentially showing my hand first or giving first, but then I sit on it and I think about it, like, what am I truly like afraid of by giving first, by showing my hand first? What am I afraid of? Am I afraid that I'll be taken advantage of? Am I afraid that people take me for a ride? Or, but then ultimately I make my decisions based on potential long-term gains. And I try as far as possible to not view things based on fear, like being afraid of something happening, and rather through the lens of let's just give first. And in the event that something undesirable happens from my giving first, I'll just take that in my stride and take that as a lesson and be like, okay, maybe I didn't look out for ABC. Honestly, if you're talking like numbers games, the number of times you give and it leading to an undesirable circumstance would probably be a tiny little fraction out of the whole big picture. Yeah. So that's my first takeaway. Yeah. Okay, now my second one is to strive for growth internally. You can't build or create anything if you're stuck, at least not something genuine. The work is going to be stale, uninspiring, and I think people will kind of have a sense of it. They would feel it, even if they can't like pinpoint exactly what is it about whatever you're building that feels a little off. You have to strive for growth internally, like personally, before you can build something meaningful. Yeah. Because it's like, if you don't want to better yourself, how do you try to keep bettering whatever you're putting out there? Do you know what I mean? Like I think it kind of goes hand in hand. And again, I feel it goes back to why you're doing things and how you're doing it. Like, is it backed by fear or is it backed by love and light and, coming into it with the right intention? So if you're very fearful of change, of growth, of making mistakes, of looking like a fool, if you're too afraid of all these things, you won't be able to grow as much as you possibly can. So I've tried to, obviously, I'm only human, very much so a work in progress. So sometimes when I'm hit by these fears, again, I'm like, what am I so afraid of? Like, what is it? Afraid of looking bad, afraid of making mistakes, afraid of, like these kind of questions come to me and I'm like, no. I need to reframe this. I need to rewire my mindset and be like, how do I approach this situation from a place of love, from a place of like kindness and light, as opposed to being afraid? I think fear is I think it's quite underrated. Like, I know in Singapore, like, it's fear to lose, fear of missing out and all of that stuff. But I still feel fear is quite an underrated thing that is not talked about enough, because maybe we mask it by our successes. we mask it by what's visible and tangible instead of like truly addressing the deep-seated fear that we all have about whatever move we're about to make, whether it's personal life, professional life, as a mom, yeah, so on and so forth. I've also realized that time is currency, especially as mothers. Getting a mother to commit time is a huge ask. What more if it's like something in person? Like I'm referencing the mom circles that I host. It is really hard to get people to commit and come down, even if it's a paid thing. And I've had a bunch of moms who've paid and really wanted to come. And of course, 1,001 things happen. Kids fall ill, this and that, and they end up like, not coming. So I realized that time is gold. From a small business like POV, your customers' time is really, really precious. And obviously what you do with the time that you have with them is even more precious, So that's what I've realized. And that actually, a bit of backstory is also why the podcast came about. So Mom Collective started out being like an in-person play date style community thing, with the focus being on moms instead of on the kids, because we all know there's like loads and loads and loads of kids activities out there that parents and mothers are happily paying for, because we do anything and give all our money for our children essentially. But what was lacking, I found, was the support for moms. It's either really focused on new mothers, which is true, they do need a lot of support, but who's to say that non-new mothers don't need that support as well? Yeah. So that's where I was coming from. I wanted to build like an emotional village outside of the operational stuff. Obviously, you need to sort out your daily grind and what your daily situation looks like with your kids, whether it's caregiving, the home situation, your work situation, or your non-working situation, whatever it is, you'd have to sort it out like yourselves. But I felt like what I could potentially help to carve out is to create a community where we pour back into moms and help them build their emotional village where they feel seen, they feel heard, they feel inspired and supported by other mothers out there. Yeah, so that was the whole intent behind the Mom Collective. But having it in person meant a lot of it's pretty tricky, and goes back to, again, time being currency, and it's really tough for moms to set aside time. So that's how the podcast came about, because getting people to commit to come down in person is pretty tough. But at the same time, I've had moms come to me and be like, hey, when's the next one? I want to join, but I can't do on Saturdays, or I can't do on Sundays. And, that's also why we try to alternate the mom circles between Saturday and Sunday. So basically the podcast is a place, a space where the conversations from the mom circles, we can dive deeper into them, or we can touch on different angles of the conversations that we've had at the mom circles. So it kind of like feeds into itself, from the conversations that we have at the mom circles to the podcast topics and themes, right down to whatever engagement that I have with you guys on Instagram. So, I do hold polls sometimes, and the responses that I get from everyone is amazing. Like, I think that was one of the things that really stuck out to me too, when it's been a little while since I, went on Instagram and like engage you guys. And then the responses that I get, I'm like, wow, like these moms are like truly reflecting and truly thinking deeply about this situation, and they therefore show me different angles that I've not considered, different perspectives. And that again is the spirit of Mom Collective. I love that. I love being able to see different viewpoints from different angles, different mom situations that I've not considered or that didn't even cross my mind. So that is something that I truly value. Yeah. So again, the whole thing with Mom Collective is that it's supposed to be an ecosystem that kind of feeds into itself, from the mom circles to the podcast to whatever engagement that I try to do on Instagram. It all becomes like a little ecosystem where moms feel seen, heard, and inspired. That's the aim. And I think we're getting there. Yeah, and I hope you feel it too. Um, yeah. Sometimes in the midst of doing all the stuff that goes behind all of this, um, I can forget these, not intentionally, forget these like core reasons of why I'm doing this. So being able to go back to the original intent, to the original why, is always great. You know, like you always need a reminder, why are you doing this? Like, why am I doing this? Why am I talking in front of a camera? When I think it's a freaking scary thing to do. Like, why am I doing this? Okay, now, what else? So it's not just time that's currency, but so is attention. In this day and age, obviously getting attention matters. It's just part of marketing when you want to put something of value out there. It is just part of it. Many ways to do it still, for sure, but attention does matter. Yeah, that's what I've learned. Didn't really want to accept it, but it is what it is. And also, so my last one, okay, as with everything, you have to choose your heart. Nothing worth doing will be easy. Yeah, it's just about choosing the the type of slog, the type of slog that you're willing to do, and coming to terms with the potential trade-offs. What you're forsaking by doing this, what you're missing out by doing that. As long as you are clear with all of that and you make peace with that. So choose your heart. What I mean by that also, honestly, I just want to have like honest, awesome, open, vulnerable, funny conversations with every mom out there. You know, that's what I want to do. I want to have those conversations. I want to run heartfelt mom circles where people are so open and vulnerable and reflective together collectively in a circle, like truly one of the most like beautiful things. Just all I want to do. I don't want to do the admin stuff behind it. I don't want to deal with all the logistics behind planning an event. I don't want to do any marketing. But again, I'm choosing my heart, right? So I can't just have all these great conversations. I can't just hold all these amazing mom circles without everything that comes into it. So there we go. I'm choosing my heart, which is why I'm also doing this. People have told me to do TikTok and YouTube like ages ago, but I'm just like, one other thing to deal with, like, one other, it's a lot. So here I am on YouTube. Yeah, episode 21 of the podcast. Letting it sink in. Am I ready? Are we truly ever ready for whatever big steps we're about to take? No, probably not. Yeah. So just to run through again, the 5 takeaways that I've learned through building Mom Collective and the podcast and the Mom Interrupted podcast. So firstly, to give first. Second, to strive for growth internally. Third, time is currency. Fourth, so is attention. And lastly, as with everything, choosing your heart. Yeah. Like that's is the lowest denominator the right term? I don't know. But basically, whatever it is that you want to do, and then once you're clear headed and you realize all the other things that come with doing what you do want to do right there at the center of your little mind map, it all comes together. And the other ancillary background things that you don't want to think about, that would be you choosing your heart. Yeah, that's kind of one way to look at it. So this is episode 21 of the podcast. I don't know if this is going to be the permanent setup. I'm standing. Not sure how I feel about standing and recording. It's still the same backdrop as with the usual podcast. And I'm actually considering doing this solo episodes maybe once a month. It's also to lighten the workload of editing a full-blown podcast conversation. It's also for me to connect directly with the fellow moms out there who are listening, who are watching. So that's what I have in mind. We'll see where it goes. Lots and lots and lots of plans cooking here. But again, it's not just about the plans, it's not just about ideas, it's about how to operationalize the whole thing, how organized I can be, what I want to prioritize. So it's a lot of stuff. We'll see where it goes. I'm really excited for this year. And please give me feedback. Am I talking too fast? Is this too rambly? Would you prefer if the points are a lot more in which case I have to, like point form notes won't cut it. I'd have to develop or be ready with more of a structured script. Would you like it to be like a Q&A? I post it on Instagram and then you guys ask me whatever and I respond to that. How would you like this format? I'm open to explore. It's just that these 15, 20-minute episodes would make the podcast episode flow run a bit smoother because it'd be a lot easier to edit. And I think obviously that it also has a lot of value behind my just speaking and engaging directly with you. So let me know what you think. Yeah. And that will be how I end this episode. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify. Follow us on Instagram, themomcollective.sg. That's on Instagram. On Spotify, we are Mom, Interrupted by the Mom Collective. Yeah. And I'll catch you for the next episode where it'll be back to the usual style where I'm conversing with another dear mother on the floor. All right. That's it. See ya. Bye.